Hello and welcome to Mtoto News Insight, where we bring you news and information about children as it comes to our desk. I am Anne Wamboi. School children have been on a week-long midterm break. The Ministry of Education released the official school term dates and holiday dates for 2019 towards the end of last year. On February 25th, students resumed from midterm breaks and are scheduled to close on April 5th. An 11-year-old Herds boy has lost both hands after he was scalded with boiling water for stealing maize flour at Kagi in Marsabit County. Cherish Etale reports.
The pain and cries of Alkano Simbenu at the Consolata Mission Hospital in Kumbu Meru County has been engraved on the faces of the people around. Alkano Simbenu, who was found unconscious after he was dumped at a thicket by a 40-year-old neighbor, has gotten both of his hands amputated after the neighbor immersed the boy's hands in a sufuria full of boiling water, then used a hot metal rod to burn the boy on various parts of his body.
As he was cooking, this man came and met him. He tied up his hands, tied him on a tree, and then he boiled water. He brought the boiled water, and then he dipped into hands, and the boy was tied on a tree.
The hungry boy was grazing the family's sheep and goats when he wandered into a makeshift homestead where herders stored their food and prepared a meal of ugali to eat.
That he's going to lose both hands. It's going to change his life totally. And I'm just appealing to the authority, the police, and the rest of the authority to give Alkano justice.
Now the boy's family is seeking for justice as the man was rescued from the police by his friends who attacked the post after being arrested. From Mtoto News, my name is Cherish Etale.
Justice is still pending for an 11-year-old girl who died in December 2018 after suffering from complications resulted by female genital mutilation in Meru County.
Female genital mutilation is a global issue. According to UNICEF, more than 125 million women and girls have undergone FGM globally, and over 3 million more are at a risk every year. In Africa, Egypt has over 27.2 million women having undergone FGM, which is equivalent to 91% prevalence. Somalia has the highest recorded prevalence rate at 98%, and Kenya stands with a 21%.
We've seen perineal damage. There's damage of the female organ. Some come in as much as severity as perineal tears. Some come with too much bleeding. Some come already infected with a lot of bacteria circulating in their body and pus oozing from the point of the cut. We've even had cases of whereby others have come with tetanus, because probably the cases or whatever instruments they use are not well cleaned.
Jelida Gashwiri is one among many other girls who suffer and sometimes die yearly as a result of female circumcision.
Tumekuwa na huo mwili kutoka huo wakati wa Disemba tarehe 16 mwaka uliopita, na postmortem imefanywa leo. Matokeo ya postmortem imeonyesha kuwa marehemu bila shaka alikeketwa, na alipokeketwa alipata infection ya sehemu zake za siri, na bakteria ikaweza kuingia ndani ya mwili na baadaye kasababisha severe pneumonia, homa ya mapafu, na bakteria pia iliweza kuenea kwa mwili wote, na hiyo ndio ilimuua. Kwa kiufupi, cause of death was cardiorespiratory arrest due to severe pneumonia and sepsis due to infected type 2 FGM wound.
According to a postmortem done on February 22, 2019, she died from septicemia, which is a bloodstream infection in the body that can potentially lead to malfunctioning of various organs, shock or death, and type 2 FGM. During the cutting period in December 2018, it is alleged that 6 other girls underwent the same and survived. As it stands, the circumciser is nowhere to be found, although the villagers know who she is and where she lives.
I know a place of where she resides, and when we went there, we didn't get her. We were told she's the one who circumcised the girl. And the time we went there with my chief, Saburias, we didn't get her.
Unfortunately, the body is still at the morgue unclaimed, as the parents have fled from their home over fear of being arrested, allegedly, to Malindi. Reports claim that according to their culture, the teenager was seen as a bad omen, because she succumbed to the ritual.
FGM is very prevalent. We get an average of more than 10 cases per week, and there are even more, especially when schools are closed. So during the school holidays, the prevalence goes high.
As the doctor quoted the numbers of cases at the hospital in a week, it is questionable on what measures the anti-FGM board, the police, is taking to keep these girls safe. Article 53 of the Constitution on Children's Act declares that every child has the right to be protected from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, and all forms of violence, inhuman treatment, and punishment. On holding persons accountable, the Anti-FGM Act has mandated the Anti-FGM Board to advise the government on matters relating to female genital mutilation in Kenya and the implementation of this act as one of its role. In this case, they should advise the relevant ministries in making investigations and arrests of perpetrators and ensuring justice is served. It is time to serve justice for the teenager and allow her a decent burial, and also fasten investigations to ensure that the parents, administrative officers involved are brought to book.
And it is good news for 13-year-old Esther Waithera, as she can now join her dream school, Kenya High, after the chairman of Royal Media Services, SK Macharia, offered to pay for her school fees until she finishes her secondary education. Dennis Njoroge has more.
Royal Media chairman SK Macharia has promised to pay the school fees of Esther Waithera, who scored 407 marks in her Kenya Certificate of Primary Education last year. The 13-year-old girl from Narok South was to join the Kenya High, but her dreams were cut short because of the financial difficulties at home.
My name's Esther Waithera Sheni. I did my KCP last year and attained 47 marks, of which I was invited to Kenya High. But my mom, who is my only parent, is not capable of getting me to that school. I can't bear losing my chance at Kenya High.
Her single mother, Lucy Wangare, tells that it has taken a heavy toll on her family because she is unable to provide the amount of money the high school is asking for.
Wanaitisha 53,000. Mimi ni kulima tu, ninalima kiasi na kwenda makibarua. Huyu mtoto hawezi kaa kwa nyumba juu ni stress. Ana stresseka na ananipea stress.
Waithera is one of the many children who sat for their KCPE exam and have not been able to be admitted to high school due to lack of school fees.
If I stay at home, I can get many challenges like falling into bad groups, like drug abuse and irresponsible behaviors.
Reporting from Toto News, I'm Dennis Njoroge.
Children delegates from all over the country representing the 47 counties gathered at Nairobi Primary School for the second Children Devolution Conference. Children spoke candidly on issues under the Big Four agenda and highlighting major challenges, giving recommendations on the 4 pillars during the 3-day conference. Constance Ndeleko has more.
Cabinet Secretary Dr. Amina Mohamed launched the conference and she spoke vividly on Form 1 registration and the relevance of inclusivity of children in the society. At least 92% of children have been able to transition to secondary schools, and with only 3 counties that are at least at 85% rate on registration.
What we're trying to do is make sure that there's 100% transition from primary to secondary. Yeah? And as I indicated earlier on, we now have 92% as of today that have transitioned from Standard 8 to Form 1. And we are hoping that we can increase those numbers during this half term because I've instructed all schools to remain open, right, to enroll any child that has been left out. So I think that the issue actually is not access. What we are working very, very hard to do is improve the quality and make sure that the education that we provide is relevant.
Lilies Njanga of Children Investment Fund Foundation, speaking on behalf of civil society organization, reiterated the commitment of Child Focus organization to ensure that all children are able to enjoy their rights.
On behalf of the development partners, the Children's Investment Fund Foundation is here today, and we recognize the Council of Governors and the governors in general for the important decision of including the children in the devolution agenda.
During the conference, children were grouped into regions to outline their opinions on how we can make a better society and allow children to be part of the devolved government. The launch of the Big Four agenda could not come at a better time.
What is your government doing to improve education for all children?
First of all, we've made education accessible, right? By ensuring that all children can go to school without having to pay a penny for primary schools, right? For secondary, we have free day secondary education. And for that too, children who opt to go to the day secondary school do not have to pay a penny to go to school. We have put in place a policy, a textbook policy. And so I know that you have textbooks in school now, right? Which is something that you didn't have before. Now we have schools that even have more textbooks that they need, which I have said is a good problem to have, because then we can use those books for schools that don't have books. But now we have textbooks. We have the free primary education for secondary school going children. We even have the medical cover, right? So you don't have to leave school if you are not well. You actually get treated in school, and if you need to go to a hospital, then you're actually taken to the hospital by the school. Yeah. We've also made sure that when you sit your exams, that you don't pay exam fees. So now your certificates are not held back because you haven't paid for your exams. We have increased the number of teachers, and we continue to do that. We actually employ 8,000 to 12,000 teachers every year. We take into account, of course, your co-curricular activities, and now we pay for all your co-curricular activities.
Children are striving for good and quality food, which is balanced diet, clean water, and good infrastructure to enhance their day-to-day activities. Children from the juvenile system want to be allowed to join normal schools to continue with their basic education and be allowed to join secondary schools after. Children requested Lady Justice Martha Koome to look into their cases and ensure children in the system have equal rights and are treated with respect. They asked her to ensure that children are not remanded or put in cells, as their cases could be heard on different levels or departments that understand children issues. They also asked her to ensure that the government adheres to the Constitution and Children's Act of not leaving any child behind and respecting their rights regardless of the situation or place. They want their voices to be heard loud and clear, and for all partners involved to come into their rescue to ensure their rights are protected. They want the promises made to be fulfilled by national government and commended the county government for creating the best platform for them to air out their issues. From Toto News, I'm Constance Ndeleko.
R. Kelly, one of the best-selling music artists, remains jailed in Chicago in place of a $100,000 bond payment that will allow him to go free pending his sex abuse trial. In bond court, a judge set bail of $1 million, requiring Kelly to pay at least 10% to go free.
The 52-year-old R&B star Robert Kelly is behind bars in the 7,000-inmate Cook County Jail. Kelly was charged Friday with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse involving 4 victims, 3 of whom were minors. Disturbing details of the allegation against Kelly emerged on Saturday when the prosecution released 4 detailed documents, one for each accuser, outlining the basis of the charges.
Earlier today, Robert Kelly was indicted before a Cook County grand jury on 10 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abuse involving 4 victims.
The allegation dates back as far as 1998 and spanned more than a decade. A 16-year-old girl who attended Kelly's child pornography trial in 2008 got his autograph after a court session. He later invited her to his home in the Chicago suburb of Olympia Fields, where they had sex multiple times, according to the documents, which said he also slapped, choked, and spit on her.
You see these patterns emerge that date back to the 90s. It's hard to deny that what the survivors went through over the course of years, saying the same thing, the same patterns, the same experiences that they've all shared. What they went through was real.
Prosecutors also described a witness who had access to videotapes showing Kelly having sex with a 14-year-old girl. The witness turned the tape over to authorities and identified the girl, who repeatedly stated her age on the footage, according to the documents.
Earlier this month, we uncovered and recovered a videotape of over 40 minutes in length. The tape was shot in the late 90s, approximately 1999. It depicts 2 separate scenes shot on 2 separate days within Mr. Kelly's residence at the time.
After the hearing, Greenberg told reporters that Kelly did not force anyone to have sex.
Mr. Kelly is strong, he's got a lot of support, and he's going to be vindicated on all these charges, one by one if it has to be.
That report brings us to the end of this week's news bulletin. For more news and information, visit our website www.mtotonews.com and follow us on social media pages at Mtoto News. Thank you for watching. We do hope that you stick with us. Until next time, I am Anne Wambui.